There's so much that we don't know, but we are all indoctrinated in school to regurgitate these things about a nation that was never what it set out to be. And so when I hear people say, make America great, and I ask, when was it great? And they can't answer. Or when people call up and say, as a white person, and I ask them, what makes you white? What does it mean to be white? They can't answer. It tells me that everything is starting with a lie.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Let's go to Yvette in Michigan, holding on. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Hello to you.
Hello, Miss Karen. How are you?
I'm great. Awesome.
Good. I am a first-time caller.
Welcome.
I started listening a couple months ago, and I was introduced to the book, The Apostle of Liberation, and I'm reading it right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
So my question is, I am struggling with the statement, America is over.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard several people on Urban View say that,
mm-hmm.
and I'm just wondering what we, the public, are supposed to do with that statement. Do we just give up?
Let's deconstruct. So what do you hear when you hear this settler experiment, this settler project is done? What is it that you hear that you have a visceral reaction to?
Well, to me, I'm hearing I should pack up and leave,
Mm-mm.
which I don't know if that's the right answer.
So that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay.
When I say it, I'm looking at it through the lens of a country founded on a lie, that they came here. I'm actually rereading Howard French's Born in Blackness. I'm gonna talk with him again. He's got a new book coming out at the end of August. And he's talking about Barbados. He's talking about the transatlantic slave trade and the founding of it through Portugal and Brazil, and then they hit Barbados and sugar. And I'm in a chapter where he's talking about the British taking over from the Dutch. I mean, the genealogy of and the evolution of the transatlantic slave trade was so powerful. So the Brits and it something just sparked. Okay, so Nicole Hannah Jones, 1619. When was the United States United States? 1776. So what happened for those 160 plus years? Oh, the British, they were a part of a colony. Oh, so the 1619 has nothing to do with the United States, it has everything to do with Great Britain. But we don't talk about it through that. If that's the first, the 20 some odd Negroes that landed in Jamestown in 1619 were subject to the Queen. Okay, so now the Brits are like, we abolished slavery before everyone else. We're so pristine. No. You were part of this. You were there. You had slavery on this continent longer than the United States of America has existed. So when we talk about it, we can't thin slice the way they want us to, which is to start it here and we pledge of allegiance. But then those framers were also holding people in bondage. So we don't talk about that because it's not taught that George Washington owned 300 plus people through his wife mostly, and that the teeth in his mouth belonged to the enslaved people on his plantation, that Thomas Jefferson owned people, and Sally Hemings, it wasn't a love story. She was a child. He was a pedophile. We don't talk about it. And I know that sounds harsh to people, but those are facts that can be verified until they erase them. But I remember, you should remember. And so when I say America is over, the America that fed us lies, told us Columbus discovered America, told us George Washington could not tell a lie, he chopped down a cherry tree, and all of the other mythology around the greatness of America. And I'm not saying America isn't great. That the Washington Monument, that the all-seeing eye on the dollar is a nod to Egypt. Why are the framers who were Masons like, there's so much that we don't know, but we are all indoctrinated in school to regurgitate these things about a nation that was never what it set out to be. And so when I hear people say, make America great, and I ask, when was it great? And they can't answer. Or when people call up and say, as a white person, and I ask them, what makes you white? What does it mean to be white? They can't answer. It tells me that everything is starting with a lie. So when I'm saying it's over, to me, I'm excited because it allows us to reimagine or to create the world that we should want to live in, where we see each person as a human being, where everybody has a right to live and breathe and to earn a living, where all of the strictures around race and gender go away, where we can just, on our merit, that's the problem though, the merit, the skill set, you're going to have a problem when you have to compete in a fair world, but we can create that because we're the numbers. So I like the idea that the America that we were taught is going away, is gone. As we see them erasing parts of the Constitution, we see a man executive ordering into things that are illegal, but no one can enforce the law this time. So what happens now? We got Texas gerrymandering seats out of power so that people will not have a voice. America, as we know it, is done, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying leave. I'm saying stay and fight for what it should be. Yvette.
A little bit. So you mean the myth of America is over,
Yes.
and that now we can make it into what we want,
or what it should be? Because I don't even want it to be what I want. I think we should reimagine and start right where we are. Right? Let's back map everything. Okay, even how we teach our children. Because I'm like thinking about all of the children going to college. I taught at the university level for 20 plus years. And it's like, what are we teaching now? What world are they going out into? What does the corporate world, as I'm looking at Palantir, earn $1 billion in a quarter, which is unheard of. And all of these tech people rubbing their hands together at our expense, people being laid off and fired. Black unemployment is as high as it's been since damn COVID. Black women, the most heavily degreed in this country, unemployed because of racism in this country. Yes, we need to renegotiate this whole thing. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I was confused by the statement. So I appreciate you clearing that up for me.
My pleasure. And you have to know, I love people too deeply to want anything. Like we were trying to avoid this. I saw a couple of people comment on my YouTube page, you always caping for the Democrats. And I'm like, no. I knew that this is where we were going. So I'm trying to avoid the iceberg. Okay, so we hit the damn thing. The Titanic is too big to sink. It's sinking. Okay. I'm unsinkable Molly picture up in this mug. I'm off. I'm not staying on the thing with it. But there may come a time where we are going to have to figure out, as people in Germany did in the late 1930s, 1940s, whether it would be safe to leave or stay, whether your physical safety, as they can round people up indiscriminately and ship them off to different places, to places that they're not from. I just saw a story today about Rwanda taking people. Like this is a criminal enterprise at a level that I don't think we've ever experienced. And many of us are not prepared for so I'm saying, Yvette, I'm not saying people should leave, but there may come a time when you might have to consider it. And it may be for a period of time, because the Holocaust lasted less than a decade, right? For the millions and millions of people that were decimated, lost everything, that was the most horrific period in time, but it was not forever. So the worst is yet to come. So let me just say that. I don't want to be Pollyanna on these airwaves and tell you everything's going to be fine, because it's not. But I will say it's going to be light, momentary, and temporary. But it also is going to require some steeliness in us, which is why get in the best shape of your life, work on your health, make sure you're not dependent on anything or anybody. Get in community, find an organization, be a part of something. Don't be a lone person out here trying to do it on your own. Get in community. If you're living in a hostile environment, move to a place, move to a state, move to a city where you have community, because it's strength in numbers. It always has been. Get your strength in your numbers. Family, double down. If you got a raggedy family, build a family. Don't have to be by blood. but this is that time. And for people who have, spit into the wind all their lives and never really had to face any hardships, and we've all gone through things, but this is about to be really uniquely different in our time. I don't think any of us, not even my mom and grandparents' generation, they went through civil rights, but they had community. We're fractured. Too many people still talking about who's black, who's not black. My grandparents and parents in Augusta, Georgia, and Somerville, South Carolina, and Charleston, they didn't have the luxury to have these quibbles over who's black. And sure, we got our internal colorism and all that, but when it hit the fan, we were together, arm in arm, in lockstep. And there were a lot of leaders that emerged during those times. I'm curious to see who's going to emerge during these times. I'm curious to see who's going to be the next Ella Baker or Fannie Lou Hamer or whatever iteration of Harriet Tubman we might need. What an Underground Railroad would look like in these times, because it may come to that as they snatch up people, because they don't know who's who when they snatch. And then they could just take your passport. And then they could just take your birth certificate. And then what? Oh, the law says what? Where? Who? The Supreme Court's in the pocket. So, there's no really place to go right now. So we have to show up in the midterms. And after that, if the midterms then flip the Senate and the House, we're going to have a problem. So I'm trying to avoid the problem. We tried to do it in November. Too many of y'all didn't like Colin Harris's laugh. You called her the cops. She wasn't black enough. All of the things you were trying to, versus an actual racist person that really does not value your humanity. You were mad. Oh, Gaza, Gaza, Gaza. What's happening in Gaza right now? You ain't vote because of Gaza? Those people are starving to death right now with a president that could give a damn. So, it's going to be interesting. But welcome to the Call-In family, Yvette. Stick around. I'm glad you found us. Let me say this, every host, we don't have an edict here. There's no, I may program this channel, but I do not get involved with what people say on the air. I'm not policing anybody's speech on these airways. I trust that everybody, whether I agree with them or not, they're coming in with an honest view that they believe the things that are coming out of their mouth. And there's no loyalty, purity test to determine whether or not you're in lockstep with whatever there's no ideal here, because I changed my mind. Let me just say that I change my mind quite frequently when I'm confronted with new information, because I'm a grown person that's, evolving in real time. And if you give me some good information from what I thought, I'm going to change my mind. Because that's what grown people do when the information that they used to have has been proven wrong. You change because wrong information is going to be wrong all day long. Why would I stay with that?
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back, and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.